Your sleep is restless and feared, assaulted by hiss and whispers, blanketed with suffocating anxiety. You open your eyes to awaken. You find yourself in front of a gilded veil's gallows tree, the creaking of its ropes growing louder in your mind until the sound is deafening. Hanging from the tree is an old dwarf woman whose face has shriveled inward like a molding fruit. Her head hangs limply to one side. As you look at her, she looms larger and larger in your mind until she is mere inches from your face. Jeez, that picture. Suddenly, her head snaps up, her eyes open. They're empty, and behind them is a vast nothingness that makes your stomach drop. Her mouth slowly parts, and with a gust of rancid air, she speaks a word. Sure. You jolt awake at the foul smell of the dwarf woman's breath permeating your nostrils. Sweat runs down your face, and thick droplets of your skin is soaked from head to toe. You remember the woman. You remember seeing her decaying face when you spoke with the magistrate. You called her an animancer. Though it fills you with the new queasy apprehension, you feel a strange compulsion to see the woman once more, if only to confirm she is truly dead. Okay, so we gotta find... Okay, let's look at our quest. There's Jay. These must just be considered done, that they're grayed out. Lust. Okay, let's go look at the dwarf woman. Hi, my guys. Just picking up the dead corpse. Looting the corpse right next to you. Oh, that'll taste funny to you. We've got some lady's house. Some dude just standing in her yard. Let's try her house. Pick up more quests. And a cat. That's stealing, it says. So no, I'm not gonna steal. Not with her there. That's all stealing. We're not gonna steal. Darwood woman stands in front of the fireplace, humming quiet tune to herself, or perhaps her unborn child. She's clearly quite pregnant. Oh no, is this her sister? I wonder if this is her sister. I don't think they told us her name.
Good day to you.
I was starting to think, oh, sir, I was expecting someone else. Can I help you? Nice cat. Oh, thank you. She's a sweetheart. Keeps the house clear of mice, too. Just arrived in Gillaville. I thought I'd get to know the locals by just go walking into their house. Were you with one of the caravans? Master Odemus, by chance? Why do you ask? My sister. Blitzko was traveling on the caravan. She sent the letter before she came. She was going to pay her way by working as a guard for one of the caravan masters. She's always a tough one, but I don't suppose you've seen her on the road or caravan. The caravan was attacked and we escaped. But Blitzko was caught biovac. I told her it was a dangerous path to take. Klitschko is always so certain she could take on any danger. Oh, my poor sister. I'm so sorry, stranger. I can't believe she's gone. If only I hadn't called her here. If I hadn't written to her, she might be still alive somewhere. She says that you might need help. Perhaps I can provide assistance. That's kind of your offer, but I don't know if I can impose upon you. It's not a small favor. I'm worried about the baby, about the legacy. I told Kaliska as much as I could, but all I know is that for a long time now, every child born in the Gilded Vale has been soulless. It happens to so many mothers, and Lord Roderick, he has exiled all of them, calling it a sign of the gods' disfavor. With my Hathor gone, I don't know how I could manage. I lost my home too. Hope Kaliska could help me. They say Ranga, an old midwife, knows a way to prevent children being hollowborn. But she moved south of Anslog Compass 2 seasons ago. The journey too far for me, and I can't make it as I am. But I don't have anyone else. Now Kaliska's gone. Please, can you help me? There's gold-packed knights and kind wayfarers. I mean, yeah, I'll find her. Oh, you will? God's bless you. Here, I'll give you a coin to pay her with. You needn't trouble yourself with that. I think it's a drink she fashions out of. Well, I'm not sure. But it shouldn't be too much of a burden to carry back. Anthog Compass is what we call Lagoon to the south. You'll be able to cross the wilds to get there. That's what keeps me from trying it myself. Thank you, truly. You're saving us both. Alright. Gotta have a good playthrough. Good playthrough. Still wish I could use Waz to move the camera. Alright. Zlox, you super. Super. As you near, you feel the vibrant history contained in the essence of this man's soul. Voices from his past seem to call to you. Jout? You see a lone man standing in a field. He looks around, surveying the crops. Occasionally, he bends and examines the leaf up close. He is intent on what he's doing, completely absorbed in his work. This man approaches him from behind. He moves slowly, but does nothing to mask his approach. In his hand, he holds a large sword. There appears to be no malice or hatred in the man's demeanor. He almost seemed pleased. First man hears approach and stands, turning away from a plant he's inspecting. His face breaks into a smile, and he opens his arms to welcome the approaching man. The smile freezes into a grimace as the second man thrusts his sword through his stomach. His blade is now protruding from his back. His arms slowly fall to his side, and blood starts to drip from the sword into the plants below. As the first man crumples to his knees, the second pulls the sword out, a tear slowly falling down the cheek. Still smiling face. What? You have earned reputation. Where do I look at my reputation? I like how they have the stats. Message's reputation. How do I see reputation? I don't know. We talk to Colonel Clink. See a small people gathered around the ruins of the house. Construction continues out from the single dwelling. Through the entire village, not a single building still stands. Rubble is scattered everywhere. One of the men in the group leans over something in the debris. It is a man, younger barely more than a boy. He reaches out and shakes the boy by his shoulders. The boy makes no sound and does not respond to the man's disturbance. The man looks up at the other members of the group and shrugs, standing to rejoin his friends. The boy suddenly sits up, eyes wide. He scrabbles backward away from the group, looking around in horror. The group moves towards him in unison, listening to yelp from the boy who tries to move further away. A woman in the group puts her hand out, stopping the rest. She turns to them reproachfully, motions them to stay, then looks at the boy on the ground who's trying to push himself through the remains of that wall. He seems unaware he has even stopped. The woman slowly moves towards the boy, hands out, speaking and low, calming tone. For a time, the boy doesn't seem to even hear. He just closes his eyes and embraces himself against the wall, expecting violence. Eventually, the woman's word breaks through the fear, and he hears her. He opens his tear-filled eyes and stares at her. She holds a hand out to him. He looks at it, seemingly confused by the offer, then hesitantly reaches out. She takes a hand of hers, leans down, and stand. Let's go to the tree. Squat, distended body of an elderly dwarf woman dangles from a thin, crooked bough that sags at the tug of her noose. The bloated purple flesh of her neck, worn into patches like a moth-eaten linen, bulges over the rope and suspends her. Lifeless head lolls forward rigidly from one side to the other. Breeze shifts. You perceive a faint glow around her and cast no light on its surroundings, but there is a tepid warmth to it. You feel somehow that you could reach out and touch it, not with your hands, but some aspect of yourself that's no worldly dimension. Reach out. You take a deep breath, clearing your mind, focus on your objective. As you exhale, you feel yourself spreading out toward the hanging. Perceive all that lies between you and her with new, unfamiliar awareness. Once you have expanded through the reach, there is a sudden jolt in your mind, a ringing, electric surge of images, words, and sounds. Involuntarily, you shut your eyes and you feel yourself being pulled down to some deeper consciousness in a space occupied only by you and the hanging woman. And when you open them again, she's staring at you with her eyes clouded in a fog. Her body still swaying in the wind and no longer feel from the tree that stands planted in the misty void. The woman gets a slow nod of her head, the rope creaking as she does so. She smiles at you. This was like good writing, I think. I like the writing.
Have you come here for me, dear? Or have you gotten lost? Ah, it is both, I think. Yes?
I need to understand something that's happened to me. She nods.
The world looks a little different than it used to, is that it? Feels like you're noticing things for the first time that have always been there. You have seen past the shroud. It only takes an instant. Your soul remembers, yes? Remembers how it sees when it leaves the body, like being reminded of a dream you had forgotten. You are a watcher now, and a watcher you will stay.
What's a watcher?
What indeed? Long hours have many animancers spent studying such things. Not I, though. Not I. I'll tell you what I know, though, since fair is fair. And here we are, visiting, you and I, and it reminds me of better times. Souls pass on. Some say through Audra stones, which are the blood veins of the world. They leave the world for a time and are reborn into it, sometimes more than they were before, but usually less and seldom the same. For all souls there is a time where they do not live, yet have not passed on, and those souls roam the world, same as you or I, either leaving or lost. But no one sees them because they have forgotten how. A watcher sees, though, knows what to look for. And sometimes they know a person just by looking at them, know where they've been in ages past when their bodies were other bodies. See memories even their owner can't recall. A wonder to behold when all goes well. A wonder!
How are you able to speak to me?
Is that what we're doing? Perhaps it just seems that way. Perhaps it is the easiest way for your mind to make sense of it. I think it is a very good choice.
What do you mean by when all goes well?
Oh, nothing to be afraid of, I'm sure. It's just much to take in for some. Sometimes there's trouble sleeping or other difficulties. You should see old Merwald. He could tell you much more than I. A watcher just like you. Helped many in his day. Took up in an old keep no one would claim. Not far, not far. Kadnua, beyond the Black Meadow. He will welcome the company.
I think I saved a biowag. Do you know why that would be?
Did you now, dear? My, that would be something, wouldn't it? Could be luck, could certainly be. A storm can be a careless thing. Or maybe it got its hands around your soul but couldn't pick it up. A soul can be heavy if it stayed in one piece through its time. Strong souls, we call them in the trade. Cold, I mean. Called them. Those days are all behind me, no?
You said souls break apart over time?
Oh, yes. Entropy. Rimagan's work. We know little of why or how. We lose pieces of ourselves when we die and pick up pieces of others when we are born again, but less than what we lost. We tried to stop it with the animantic sciences, but with little success. No. A very small few resist Rimergan's influence and stay together through some force of defiance, at least for a time. But they all succumb eventually, I think.
I want to know more, something about you.
Me? I'll bore you to tears, though.
Who are you?
And here I thought you'd come to visit me in particular. Caldara de Baranzi, of the Valian Royal Academy of Animantic Sciences. Not the greatest of their number, but I came here all the same because this was where help was needed.
What's an animancer?
A student of the soul. Something so basic, yet so poorly understood. But so many breakthroughs have been made in my lifetime. Had been. To hear the locals tell it, we're a gang of soul manglers that preys upon the weak-minded. And the worst of us are. But the best of us? The best? Inspirations, miracle workers. My parents were soul twins. Miserable before they met, empty inside. It was an animancer who helped one find the other. Turned their lives around. You wouldn't believe the stories. Amnesiacs helped to remember their lives. The suicidal brought back from the brink of oblivion. The elderly afforded extra moments to say their goodbyes. How soon we forget when we're afraid. It's a fascinating science. A fascinating time to be alive in a place like Deerwood that does not control the research, no? I loved the Valian Republics for many things, but their recent caution will leave them behind, I fear.
I love voice acting. Voice acting's good. I'm glad the games have voice acting. I wouldn't want to read all this. Like I had to do in a lot of Rogue Trader. So much reading.
Oh, come now. Such a question. As though the answer were plain as a rope tied for strangling. Allow an old dwarf her last bit of cheer. Well, I came where I was needed, didn't I? Offered my services to Lord Radric for a pittance. A humble pittance. I was to examine the Lord's wife, see why the gods have seen fit to poison her womb. Studied her for months, looked high and low for impurities, tested her valence, the permeability of her essence. Do you know what I found?
Probably nothing. Tell me.
Nothing at all. A healthy woman, head to toe, blessed with a beautiful soul. Such a sweet woman, too. Meek, but warm-hearted. A few months' time, and the lord of the house demanded answers. For a time, I told him what he wanted to hear. Oh, yes, my lord. She is riddled with imbalances. I must have time to cure her. As the birth drew near, he grew impatient, as lords do. And this is where I've ended up.
Questions? More questions?
Of course,
Oh, nope. Okay.
Goodbye, my dear. It was lovely visiting.
I was granted Crucible of the Soul. A Watcher. Well, that's interesting. And I expected that this has something to do with the hooded figures at the ruins. Any case, appreciate your honesty. Since we're traveling together, it's probably wise for us to share these things. Do you know anything about Watchers? Only that they're rare and that they seem to have unique insight into certain soul conditions, as you demonstrated. Okay. Okay. Crucible of the Soul. Once per rest, the Watcher unravels the vital essence of his or her enemies, gaining endurance in the process. AoE drains 12.4 burn damage as endurance. Interesting.
Huh? 17 and a half.
What? Smell of pipe smoke. Hey.
17 and a half. Well, could be 18, depending on how you count the dwarf woman.
Sorry?
The dwarf woman. You were trying to figure out whether to count her as a full person. I think you oughta.
What are you talking about?
The people hanging from the tree. 18 of them. Well, last I counted, anyway.
Is that what you people do for fun around here?
Name's Adair. Though to the people around here, might as well be 19. Don't think I'd put you much higher than 22, 23 tops. You look like the sort that likes to get involved.
Makes me I was interested in the dwarf woman.
I was smoking over here, saw you staring at her. Twice I refilled my pipe. You never so much as blinked. Your mouth was so slack I took you for a Radric at first.
Even what a Watcher is.
Careful, friend. Best not use that word round here. Could be any number of Radric bootlickers within earshot. Ciphers, animancers, watchers. Same thing in the eyes of folks around here, Radric especially. They come through these parts all the time with their cures, preying on the desperate. None of them are who they claim to be. Of course, seeing you with that funny look, I'd be halfway inclined to believe you were having some kind of communion with that dwarf. Either case, maybe I'm not 19 after all. No offense.
Think you're gonna be hanged?
The town's had it in for me for a long time now. Only fellow who ever stuck up for me, well, he's number 18 up there. My headman on the farm. Used to be my captain during the war.
War? Saints War. Only one in my lifetime. Billy decided he's a living incarnation of Aethys. Overthrows... Oh my god. Red Sarah? Arches and Deerwood. So it gave him Deerwoodian hello. Was a Deerwoodian hello. Deerwoodian hello.
We blew him up.
Oh. It was Aethys. God of rebirth and redemption, formally anyhow. They call upon him something different where you come from. Okay. Why was your headman hanged? Got involved. Frederick sent his man down the other day, said that he had it on a good authority. Someone in town is working with Polsk, plotting Redrick's overthrow. Said he didn't come forward right then and there. They'd hang every last one of us. No one was coming forward, so Swithin, that's my headman, he steps up and says it's him. Took him at his word. Bound to happen sooner or later, if not plotting against Redrick, and then for protecting you. What does the town have against you?
Pick the wrong god. That's what it comes down to. Used to be a lot of Aethys worshippers in Gilded Vale. That mess of rocks over there, that was a temple to him, to give you some idea. Then one day, somebody named Widewind shows up on Deerwood's doorstep. Says he's the living flesh of Aethys. Got an army with him. Suddenly, Aethys isn't so popular in these parts. My brother Woden and me, neither of us believed it. No way was that Aethys. He enlisted, and then I did too. But, he didn't make it back. After the war, people took to punishing Aethys worshippers, accusing them of treason. Got real ugly, especially after the legacy started. Folks needed someone to blame. I was safe because I fought, but then this rumor starts that my brother, that he was on the wrong side. And I wasn't so safe anymore. Until my headman stepped in and said they'd have to hang him to get to me. Seems that's no longer a concern. Of course, the townies don't do the hanging these days, but when Raedrick's men come, they got no problem doing the pointing.
Who's pulsing? Somebody got tired of all the hangings. He's on the run now. Probably will till they catch him. So if you're next to be hanged, why are you still doing here? Drinking mostly. Point of fact, on my way out, I just haven't figured where I'm going yet. Not a whole lot of places out there that don't think Waidwin's legacy started with Waidwin. We should travel together. Where you headed is some place called Seidnua. Old botcher there that might be able to help.
Seem to remember hearing something about that years ago. He tamed that place. People would seek him out for all kinds of things. Troubles of the soul, questions for the departed. Of course, that was back when you didn't have to say Watcher with a hush on your breath. A man such as that, there'd be things I'd want to ask him. Don't know why I never thought of it before.
Hey, Taco Loco. Thanks for the follow.
Not sure how I feel about setting out with a stranger, and a strange one at that. But truth be told, you might be the only one in town who wouldn't feel some relief seeing me swing from that tree.
A fine reason if I ever heard one.
All right then. Guess I'll do some sightseeing. As long as you're not the one picking the sights.
Get going. Yes, another guy.
Yeah.
Let's open up, or take a peek more of this town. Pick all the flowers. Get them all. Into the map.